guys, what's up? It is Thursday night. Happy to see you all. Not as fired up today. I actually took the day off work and everybody needs a recharge. So I used it as a recharge day, and it's really important to give yourself rest and a little relaxation. We're getting ready to get revved up for a big event where I'm going to do a lot of talking, and those things tend to wipe me out. So I'm trying to make sure batteries are all charged up before we go. Alrighty, so my survival tip for tonight is if you're going to carry a weapon, that weapon better be deployable within 3 seconds, or else forget it. There's no point. So a lot of people carry, a self-defense spray or something, a taser that needs to be charged, things like that, that are located in the bottom of your bag, in the bottom of your purse, and they're not really deployable within that 3 seconds. So whatever you're carrying, whatever you're planning on using for your self-defense, that thing needs to be deployable within 3 seconds. So usually something on your keychain is a good idea, or something that's just very, very readily accessible off of your belt, that kind of thing. Because if you're planning on digging for any kind of self-defense weapon, forget it. Most altercations on the street are done within 8 seconds. So 3 seconds is even kind of a stretch. You need to have that on hand ready to go. Okay. As the author of the Changing Earth series, I promised I was going to make it. I'm trying to, have a tip for everybody. And so my author tip for tonight is make sure you follow your characters well. So some people do like the character arc ahead of time and set things up very organizedly and follow these steps to get there, and that's great. If it works for them, whatever works for you is the best method. I'm the type who I kind of set my goal out there of where I see it going. And then as I work with the characters, as I move through the story, I might end up someplace totally different. It's just wherever the story wanted to take me. Sorry, again, tonight it is thick out here, very humid, and very hot. So that's where the story is going to take me, right? So it was really important for me. I had a big Bible of all of my characters and my towns and my cities and topo maps of what the region looks like. And I call it my quote unquote Bible, because it is that the roots behind my stories. And I found it really, really useful to keep that of like, when you mentioned their background story and you mentioned where they grew up, that kind of thing, and then they did this, that, and this in these previous books, because my book series is now 9 books long. So I had to really remember, like, oh yeah, that happened back in book 2, right? So it was good for me to keep that running log of the characters, who they were, what was going on. And I even went and grabbed like pictures off the internet, because nobody's going to see it anyway. I mean, now you can make them to be whatever you want them to look like. Back then, I just grabbed pictures off of Pinterest or wherever on the internet when that person really sang to me. And nobody's going to see my Bible anyway. So I could just use those. And then I'd have an image that I could actually go back to of, characteristics of that character, what they really looked like, and how they might evolve too. So sometimes I'd have to do the evolutionary. I actually have a different Bible for my first book than for the later books, because it was that 9-year gap. So that I'd highly recommend, if you're going to write a book, especially a fiction one, that you keep track of those types of things. Really essential material. Okay, so today I had a really cool day, and I've been really disillusioned by the amount of division that's going on in our country. Um, you can't really stick me in a box as far as political stuff, because I don't support either side at this moment. I think that there's a lot of corruption in our world, and I'd like to see a lot more people held responsible for their actions, especially when those things are so blatantly obvious and so many lives were impacted. But the big problem to me that I see more than anything is the fact that everybody is grumpy and there's no joy and we're not, singing together. And I love the United States of America. I'm really, really proud of my country. I'm really, really proud of living here. Everybody in their life has made mistakes, and that's same for any country. Unfortunately, it's usually the upper echelon that's the big decision makers, but the people are held just as much at fault as well because we allow ourselves to become manipulated. We lose focus. I'll bring it back, keep your eyes on the Lord. And when you look down and start to get scared, then you start to sink in the water. And we've kind of been doing that for a long time. And I think that's where a lot of the problems lie. We're pointing over there, we're pointing over there, we're pointing over there at what all these things that are going wrong are. And we're not willing to look inside our own heart and go, how am I helping or not helping this situation? So I'm a big believer of make your bed every morning, because if you want to change the world, you start at home first, and you start inside your own heart, and you start examining, what's good and what's not so good. And I always think, when I'm you try not to judge, you try to judge from a place of righteousness if you are. But I always think, like, what would Jesus say, right? What would he say about this scenario? How are we treating people? How are we treating people online? How are we treating people in our daily lives? How are you treating yourself? Because so much of the negativity that we are dealing with comes from self-hatred. And it's really sad to see in the world. I don't know if we're too drawn into machines or what, but it's really sad. Not every time, but driving around, we went into the big city, quote unquote, near our house, and I just look around and everybody is so grumpy, and I just can't imagine how you would walk through day after day after day just grumping out over the little shit. Sorry, the little stuff, right? You're missing your human experience. You are missing your chance to be joyous by letting something that has no impact over you impact your life. And at the same time, as we're worried about all this little BS that really doesn't matter, the big wool gets pulled over us, and everything gets compromised. And that is the part that you really have to search and find that faith for, because there is so much that has gone wrong at this point. There's so much we need to set right. But if we don't set ourselves right as Americans and as human beings living the human experience, then we're never going to get there. So I went to my son's, it was his big band. He's doing marching band in high school. He's going to be a freshman this year. Oh, my baby, all grown up. But when I was there, it was just amazing to see all of these kids and these joyous spirits. And when their voices come together as one, and their instruments, and they're singing and they're dancing, and you look across the audience, and most people are just sitting there still like zombies. Like, where is the joy in people's hearts? Where is the laughter? Where is the fun? Where is it? It's really kind of concerning to me. So in my books, Erica, the main character, her mission is all about saving our country and our Constitution. And that is something I do believe in. It is a good doctrine. It was built off a lot of Native American beliefs. It was built off of Christ, most importantly. And has brought freedom to this country that was amazing. And then, unfortunately, as soon as you start putting rules and regulations on people, innovation goes down. You just can't think at the same level because you're so constrained. You can't start a business because there's so many barriers to that business. And that came from both our government and from corporations. Nobody's, I'm not going to sit here and point at one side or the other because they're all just as bad. They're not in it for the people anymore. They're not in it for the workers. They're not in it for their constituents. It's about getting to these places and just amassing money. And so in the Changing Earth series, I could really dive into some of those concepts without being threatening in any way, because we have a whole new set of circumstances. We have people who have land and people that lost their land due to this huge disaster that happened on our planet. And you know, the people that lost their land, they got rounded up, they got treated as second-class citizens. And I mean, right, the best type of prisoner is one that doesn't know that they're in a prison. So a little bit more serious side of me tonight, but I'm just really upset about the lack of unity. Most people, if you met them on a day-to-day basis, and you sat down with them and you had a conversation, you know, 80% of your conversation is going to be based around things you guys agree with. And then you could come to some kind of a middle ground on. And then there's a simple fact that there's some people that, you know, don't even qualify for the military. So there's some that are just going to be those outliers no matter what, right? That are just going to be those outliers. But it only took 3% of the population to take this country from the British. So outliers are important, but having a singing majority that can unite and stop all of this hatred and all this craziness and just come together as one people is so essential. That's why I keep saying we need to have some kind of a big mission that, you know, gets us all on board, all rallied for the same thing. And I don't want to state what I think that item's going to be. I'd rather see us go to Mars or something like that, rather than go to any kind of war, because that's just a pattern that I would hope by this point, with all the understanding, with all the knowledge, with all the high-tech gizmos and gazmos, and all of the spiritual understanding, and all of the belief and the faith that we have in this country, we could get to the next level without having to tear down the old. So there's a great book. It's called The Watchman's Rattle, and it's all about cognitive understanding and how humanity has evolved through disasters and things like that. It's called The Watchman's Rattle. It's a phenomenal book. I highly recommend you read it. It just makes you think about humanity and really the path that we're on, the journey that we're on together, individual yet together. We all have the same roots. We all have, you know, blood that ticks within our body. We're all the same people, and we need to unite. We need to unite for freedom. We need to unite for brotherhood. We need to unite for peace on our planet. I know it sounds all hippie and everything, but I believe we could get there if everybody could stop the hatred a little bit. Okay, so I'm done ranting. I don't want to rant anymore. That's enough. But I really believe in you guys. I really believe in this country. I really believe that we're smart enough to overcome the social BS that's going on right now and be able to see through lies, to be able to think for ourselves and for, you know, what's best for each other. Forgive yourself, forgive each other. Like the fight is over and we have to live together in this house, right? Well, I'm a multi-generational family. So you have to live together in this house. So you have to let some things go and really focus on the important ones. And those important ones can get solved through rational debate and come to that middle ground. It's pretty darn easy once you get rid of the corruption and you get rid of the things that are trying to divide us all. And our boxes that tell us that the other side is evil, and we need to keep pushing all of this hatred on each other. All right, hopefully you guys can hear me good tonight. My mic wasn't working very well, but I've still got my backup, and I've got a backup to the backup. So you know me, I'm always prepared. If you need insurance, you need some insurance plans, you let me know. Okay, so my positive cloud seeding for the night, because we're always going to positive cloud seed. You guys are getting me fired up. Thanks for coming and watching. So awesome. So now you guys are just firing me up tonight. I'm going to have to go running or something. It's dark out there though, and it's still hot. Texas. So it is not your job to fix everyone. It is not your job to fix everyone. So you're not there to repair everyone. It's okay if people have different points of view. Funny that this is my positive cloud seeding for tonight, right? Share your experience. Share it confidently. Share it unapologetically. But have eyes to see and ears to hear for understanding. It's not your job to change anyone. It's not your job to fix anyone. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's not it. And if you're really, really dedicated to fixing someone, you need to start in your own heart. Trust me, it is worth it. It is worth it to find out who is that little ego that's always yelling at me, that's always pissed off, that's always upset about something, that's always getting on my last nerve. Who is that little ego? When do I feel this little guy coming at me, right? And that's how we start to fix things, is by fixing ourselves. So, like I said, ego in check. You are worthy. You are loved. And you are worth it. And if you want to be a warrior, go to work on your own heart. Like I said, it takes absolute dedication, commitment, and the biggest fighting spirit I've ever had to use in my whole life was to fix my own heart. I was a person that flew on emotions. I could not wrangle them. And once something went wrong, boom, my whole day is over. No matter how much somebody tried to fix me, it was never going to work. And so I had to come to the understanding with Jesus of why I need to have faith, why I need to keep that my eyes on him so I don't sink below the water. Yeah, I'm always trying to fix people, right? And you're always trying to convince them that you're right, wrong. No, it doesn't matter. Have the human experience together. There's always something to learn from everybody, even if it's what not to do. You know, like, oh, well, that's interesting. Oh, that's an interesting way you went about doing that. You know, it probably wouldn't work for me, but I'm glad it worked for you. I love that for you. Love and joy. And then your days are going to be better. I guarantee it. You're going to be able to bounce. You're going to be able to find joy in the world again. You're going to be able to look inside yourself and be like, we're good. We're loved. We're worthy. We're worth it. Sure, some stuff happened over there. But we're walking together. And I guarantee you, go to work on your own heart. It really, really helps you out. And yeah, I see you out there. It's the biggest. I'm not kidding. I have been in tournaments. I have been up against crazy opponents. I'm 100 and nothing pounds. I'm 5 foot nothing. I've been up against 300-pound women in competition without fear, knowing I can beat that person and win the day if I give it enough energy. But having that battle with your own heart, catching every thought, everyone, you have to catch it. You can't let it start going, right? You're the person you spend the most time with. So you can't let it go. You have to just catch that thought and be like, no, right now you're not controlling me. And it's so hard. I'm telling you, it's not an easy battle. And technology is one of the things that gets me the most because I'm like, oh, this thing's not happening. I'm getting pretty good with people to where I'm like, okay, that's how you feel about it. Cool, we're moving on because you don't need to fix everyone. They need to fix. That's their job, not yours. And sometimes as well, this is a lesson we've been learning in my family as well. Sometimes you're trying to fix them enables them, and they weaponize their inadequacies against you. And you're trying to fix them doesn't allow Jesus to come in and do the job that he's supposed to do. You're getting in the way of the Lord's work. So sometimes you got to stand back. Sometimes you need to just be that ear. You can't always fix it. Alrighty, guys, about 20 minutes in. I promise to keep them short. Love seeing you guys every night. Definitely going to keep it up. I've got lots of positive things I can fill you up with. And I am on the mission to spread my joy, to spread the Lord's joy, and to spread joy to our country so we can be a place that actually likes each other again, because this division is just crazy, you know? A house divided can never stand. House divided can never stand. Alrighty, good night, guys. Have a blessed evening.